I think there's been enough said on the budget so far, but let me tell you our opinion on the budget. To summarize it in a line, it is a very intelligent budget, maybe not timed very well, but has had so many provisions and progressive steps taken for the betterment of the country's fiscal deficit. So why do I call it an intelligent budget? I call it an intelligent budget because from a taxation standpoint, direct tax standpoint, what has happened is there are about 4-5 things which were resulting in a no control environment for the tax collection from a government's perspective. So point one, for example, if there are 120 provisions which can be used to bring down tax liability of a person, people could go tax free up to 14 lakh rupees in India. So if you can go tax free, almost zero tax at 14 lakh rupees, which is 14 times more than the per capita income of this country, which is almost 1 lakh rupees, there cannot be a better tax regime. So we were being very, very generous on taxation. That's why another clean method has been introduced, where a person who earns 10 lakh rupees has to pay only 78,000 rupees tax, which I think is the fairest the government can be, right? Because it's only 7.8% tax for a 10 lakh base. For a person who earns 15 lakh rupees, the tax liability in the clean method is 1,95,000, which works around to about 13 to 15%. So 13 to 15% for a 15 lakh salary in India, where the average per capita income is 1 lakh odd, is anyways the most generous it could get. So these 120 provisions going away in the next 3-4 years is a great step for the country's fiscal deficit over the next 4, 5, 10 years. Second point, lot of arbitrage in taxation existed. That has been curtailed significantly. For example, mutual fund dividends were very differently priced than dividends of stocks to investors. That has gone away. All right, and it has benefited immensely to people who are in the lower tax bracket. So dividend distribution tax is far higher for people who are earning 5, 7, 8 lakhs a year. So the rich were getting compensated on dividends, and the poor was paying for that compensation. That goes away. Third, again from a tax compliance standpoint, quite a few people were misusing this 182-day limit to become NRIs and pay no tax that year or all the income they earned globally. Now that has been curtailed. That I think is one of the brightest moves a country can do, and several other emerged countries have done that. If you are a genuine NRI with a work permit outside, you're not impacted. So genuinity, compliant people are actually not being hampered, are not being dented. So that's one very, very intelligent move. There are several intelligent moves done to bring transparency and fairness in taxation. That's one. Second is disinvestment has become far more innovative. Government speaking of borrowing 10-year GSEC from retail, where retail participation is negligible, is a very, very big step to bring down interest rate on the 10-year government paper. Today the 10-year government paper is at 6.85. But these crores of Indians don't participate in it, is why it is 6.85. Only institutions largely participate in it. So now, once retail starts participating, interest rates in this country of the long term can come down significantly. That's on the debt side. On the equity side, disinvestments was conventionally thought about for businesses which are not stupendous businesses. LIC disinvestment is something so innovative that can create huge amount of surpluses which can be helped in economic spend. So that's also very, very bright. So disinvestment and market development, it is great. In tax, it has become far more transparent. And I think one thing which the Honorable Finance Minister said, that she's going to phase out these 120 provisions, which is what everybody is suffering for. So somebody is compensating for another person, which is not a great idea from a long-term perspective. Of course, there could have been more stimulus provided to the economy, but I think this government has exhibited that providing stimulus is not a budget's job. It is a continuous thing, and government has done several things out of turn and didn't wait for the budget. So we are reasonably confident that if data of economic data comes not to the liking of the government, they will push expenditure and try and curtail any further slip in the economic numbers. Now coming to the strategy part of what does an investor do? If an investor is not transactional and buying a portfolio, not a product, but is creating a portfolio with plan A and plan B. If the market does well, the plan A supports. If the market doesn't do so well, then the plan B supports. If you have a portfolio which is strategic in nature, which has different constituents working at different points in time favorably for you, then there is nothing to worry. Of course, risk has a large emphasis because global risks also can have impact on the Indian risk and the volatility, which has been reasonably low over the last 3 years. So please take risk more seriously. That's my recommendation. Measure it and make sure that it is curtailed, point one. Point two is that be strategic rather than buying products individual for their individual merit. Create portfolios which can be all-weather portfolios. That's what we've been aspiring to do and done it reasonably well, I would like to believe. If you are on that path, then I think this is an opportunity rather than an adversity. And I think market will realize the same and price it in.